everybody. Welcome to the Cheese Talk podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today we are joined with returning guest, Cody. What's up, Cody?
Oh, not too bad, man. How about you?
Doing good. We're surviving the hot humidity here in northeastern Wisconsin.
Oh yeah. It's pretty humid here in Kansas. It's pretty hot.
It was worse yesterday. It was like a heat index of like 100.
Oof.
Yeah. And we're not used to that up here, but I know like down south they're used to it, so I don't want to hear about it.
Well, it gets pretty humid. That's probably the worst here. It's hot, but the humidity just kills you.
Right. But before I get to him, obviously we did a little talking, but before I get to him, I want to give a shout out to the OTA Network for giving me the chance to pod under their umbrella, OTA Network. They are 51 followers away on Twitter from hitting their goal of giving away an 8x10 autographed picture of Jair Alexander. So, all right. Well, we're going to discuss the Packers OTA today, Cody, and some news around the NFL. There's some random things I pulled from NFL.com and just want to get your opinion on stuff. The first question I have is with our receiving core. Do you think Malik Heath will make the roster?
It's kind of a question I've been asking. We're so stacked. I don't see him making the team. The roster anyway. I don't see him starting any snaps. We're just way too stacked. Between Romeo Doubs, Samori Toure, he's still a question mark to me. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. We're so stacked, and I don't want to see Malik Heath go because I really like everything he did last year. It's just I don't know.
I'd like to argue that I would rather have Malik Heath over Samori Toure. He's shown more in his first year than Toure has in 3 years.
That's true. I just also don't know if keeping Samori is also the best thing either.
No, I don't. I don't see why they're I don't get why he's still on the team, to be honest. He was good at Nebraska, and then he just kind of didn't do much in his first few years in the NFL. And I don't know, it might be his last year to prove himself. Or with the amount of talent on the Packers roster, it's like a good thing, but a bad thing for Cody because he has such a talented roster. And do you keep 6 cornerbacks? Do you keep 7 receivers? Do you have a 5th tight end? And what do? You got to keep backup linemen, and you can only move so many to the practice squad, and it's going to be crazy to see the final roster.
Right, and I do also want to preface, I'm not wanting to take Samori Toure over Malik Heath, not in a million years. But we are still so stacked that I don't know. He could probably be a depth guy. He could be, but other than that, we have so much talent that it's hard for me to think he's a regular.
Who do you think are from 1 to 4? Who would you put 1 through 4 ranking wise on our team?
Reed 1. I will always go Reed 1. Reed 1, Watson 2. If you can stay healthy, and Romeo Doubs 3. Again, I guess Malik Heath 4, maybe.
Yeah, it's hard because like you said, they have such good. Will Bull Melton produce even more coming off of the end of last year? Will he keep that continuing? Like you said, there's so many options. I'd definitely go Jaden Reed, and then Christian Watson having a full year of him being healthy. If he can stay healthy, I pray to God that he does, and they have his hamstring figured out. He's showing glimpses of being a number 1 receiver, and Jaden Reed was used a lot more like in the gadget plays, like the reverses and the but he was still very productive as a quarterback, very productive as a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think having those guys where it's hard to make those depth chart moves, and you don't know who we're going to go to when they're all on the field. That's what makes it, I think, even scarier than last year on offense.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm always putting Watson 2 and Reed 1 is I need to see Watson stay out on the field for more than 4 games a season. And as long as he can do that and he can put up the numbers that I know he can put up, then sure, he can be receiver number 1, but I don't have that confidence yet.
Yeah. Like when I think of Watson, I instantly think of that pass he dropped against the Lions or the Vikings, Aaron Rodgers, and just, I mean, the Vikings defense was decent. If you can get over the top on the defense and you can make that catch, I mean, he like consistently, he'd be a legit number 1 receiver for the Packers. But yeah, it's got to suck to be Goody to have the cut down, and you're cutting good players that you're not going to be able to put on your practice squad, and it's. Yeah.
Well, and at some point it's going to be really sad. We're going to have to cut some of these receivers because they're so damn good that they're going to want to get paid. And I know for a few of them we're a ways off, but at some point we're going to have that conversation, and it's not going to be a fun one.
The thing that on one of my previous podcasts, I think I was talking to Mick Stevenson. They were talking about when they get into that last contract year, like the season before they're up for a contract renewal or whatever, trade them, get draft picks. If they're legit doing that good, and we have 4 or 5 receivers that we could like arguably put at number 1 or number 2 receiver, like behind Dobbs and Watson, hoping that they produce and we keep them, why wouldn't you trade them for draft assets?
True.
Because you're not going to be able to pay Love and pay always. I mean, you got to pick and choose who you keep, but then you can bring in fresh talent cheaper on the rookie contract and just trade them away for draft picks.
It's just who are you going to cut that or trade? Yeah. Like that's the question.
Depends on who's asking for what or what they're asking for.
Well, and also who's better out there too. Like
yeah, exactly.
Say Watson just kills it this year, stays in all the games or at least most of them, and he's murders, balls out. Well, that's great. We can keep Watson. So yeah, and then at some point it's like, all right, Dobbs is pretty good, and Reed's pretty good, and Bo Melton's pretty good. And let's say Bo Melton just for some reason this year just murders. Who are you cutting? You don't want to lose any of them, or who are you trading potentially? You don't want to lose any of them, and I don't want to even think about having that conversation because they're so good.
If their contract year came up all in the same year, you just have to sit down and see what they've given you over the years, production-wise, see what they're asking for, then reach out to other teams and see what teams have to offer you. I mean, it's a business. I mean, obviously we can't pay every position top dollar or we wouldn't have a team.
Wouldn't you just love that?
It's like going into playing Madden and just turning off the salary cap, Not saying that I've ever done that before or anything. What are your thoughts on Preston Smith? Do you think he's going to have a productive year this year?
I think so. From everything I've seen from training camp and OTAs, he's looking better. So, I mean, everyone's looking better now that certain someone's gone. But yeah, from everything I've heard from players and people who were there recording from the OTAs and training, he's looking pretty good. Granted, we haven't seen him with anybody with pads on yet. So really this means almost nothing. But I always love to see what are you showing me? And once you get those pads on, if you can keep producing the way you're producing, I mean, I don't see why with not only Preston, but with the whole defense, why we don't have like maybe a top 10.
Yeah, I'd go definitely top 10 defense. I mean, they have the talent. I mean, you have all the first round draft picks the last few years except for a couple, are on that side of the ball. And I think that they're going to not stack one side of the line, but they're going to have it pressure heavy, and they're going to be forced to go towards Preston Smith, and he's going to make a lot of plays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Slayton, Clark, I think Gary's going to be down. The 4-point tech. They're just going to switch everything around and make it look totally different from last year. I really think they're going to change that defense up big time.
Do you think Kenny Clark can get extended?
He's only 27 years old, ain't he?
Well, yeah. It's just they're talking about extending him right now. But we still have to get the Jordan Love one done first. But there's questions. I'm not saying. I mean, I'm thinking he's gonna. There's no way he's not going to get extended. But there are questions that when are you gonna get that done? Because you just got to get Jordan, which there's obviously still time. But I've just been hearing a few questions here and there.
Yeah, I think that they'll extend him. It's just they'll probably get it done during the season. I think they're more right now. I mean, I'm sure they're talking to Kenny Clark's camp, but I think they're more kind of worried, not worried, but they're more working towards extending Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they see what they have financially after that, and I'm sure they already have a picture of what they're going to offer and what he'll probably take, and then working on a contract with Kenny Clark. But you got to keep the cornerstones as long as they're productive and making an impact in a game,
Right.
Have you ever been to a family night in Green Bay?
I have not.
You have not. Okay, so but did you ever watch any? It pretty much is it's like a watered down practice,
mm-hmm.
And they have like a fireworks show at the end, and the players all come around on the stadium on the field, and they do the fireworks show for the kids and the family and stuff. But I can remember like back when it used to be like somewhat not competitive, but they used to like do more. I just think it's a great thing for the family. I think if you would ever get a chance to come up and go to that would be an awesome experience. It usually sells out pretty quick when they put the tickets up, but I think they just put something on their Facebook page or Twitter, whatever social media that they're having when they're having it. I have no idea when it is, but I just figured I'd ask you if you've ever been to a family night.
No, I wish. Maybe at some point I'll move closer to Wisconsin, because I'm not doing that the way things are now. But I kind of want to go. I kind of want to live in Wisconsin too. As much as I hate winter, I'm used to winters here. So, yeah. I mean, it's only going to get a little worse from what it is, what I can get now.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. It'd be the same cold, but you'd be in Wisconsin. So you'd like some of that would like numb the coldness away.
Yeah.
Right.
And plus I'll be closer to what I would want to be my second home, which is Lambeau. So
yeah, it's
ironing out kinks, but it's a plan.
Yeah, it's a good plan to have. Do you think we'll go with 6 cornerbacks this year?
Maybe. Yes. That's not something I actually really thought about a whole lot. I've heard a few people say yes, but I couldn't tell you. I haven't looked into them as much as I wish I kind of would have. But
I was reading up on Carrington Valentine, Valentine. And reports are that he's bigger and stronger coming into camp, and that he's standing out in the OTAs and camp. So that's good. Okay,
yeah, I did hear that there are talks of thinking of making him number 1. Sure. I just
putting him at 1.
I've been hearing people say 1
over Jair.
Yes, and as crazy as that sounds, because I'm a Jair mark, I'm not saying he should be number 1, but if people are saying, I've heard a few people that have gone to the practices. I've heard a few from their channels saying like, he could beat Jair because Jair isn't he not? He hasn't been practicing really, has he?
Yeah, he's been the OTAs. He didn't come the last few years because of Joe Barry, but now he's actually showing up.
Well, I mean, yeah, I feel that, but I thought he was dealing with a slight injury. That's what I heard, but maybe I'm wrong.
Packers Family Night is Saturday, August 3rd.
August 3rd.
All you people out there, 7 p.m. Taking the field for warm-ups at 7 p.m. and practice beginning at 7:30. The full practice in order for the team to accomplish its preparation goals for the regular season. So, yeah. Well, I've been to a couple of those, and just the fireworks they have going on all around top of the bowl at Lambeau. It seems to get better and better every year. I've almost thought about this going just outside of Lambeau just to capture the fireworks going off, because it's just as cool seeing the fireworks, you know?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of the fireworks going off, but obviously it's completely different than from being in person. And
Yeah.
I haven't even gone to a Lambeau game yet, but maybe that's in the works this year. I don't know.
Put it on your bucket list.
Oh, it's already on my bucket list.
Put it at the top.
Whether it's on my bucket list for this year or not, that's another question.
I just saw the Packers released that Jack Podelsny, the kicker, is signed in January. And I was going to ask you, do you think Carlson wins the kicking competition with I can't think of the guy, Joseph, from the goal kicker for the Vikings?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. From the stats I've been reading, he's been he made just about, what was it? It was the other one of the training camp days. He was going up against all three, and he made the same amount as one of them. I don't remember who. I don't have that written down. But the leg talent, everyone's saying it beats all of them. He just needs to work on the accuracy. So I think, as long as he works on that and can get better at accuracy, I think he can beat them all.
I've probably told you, you probably know this already, but he had a better kicking percentage than Mason Crosby did his rookie year. But Mason had less than 10 more attempts than him. But still, I mean, I can remember we all wanted to axe Mason Crosby too, you know, and he ended up being almost a lifelong Packers player and leading scorer in team history. So you can't want to. I mean, the kid's only a rookie, you know.
I get it. I get why people are pissed, because he didn't do great. He did okay. He didn't do great. Guys, he's a rookie.
Right.
Get over it. All right. Like, I'm not asking him to be the next Mason Crosby, but I'm asking him to be a little more accurate on his kicks. Right. I would like you, Anders, to make a few more extra points than you did last season. I don't think that's a whole lot to ask. And people are saying axe him, cut him. Guys, you got to let him evolve a little. I mean, this is his second year in, and people are already a little more higher on him. Oh, shit. Sorry. They were a little higher on him now than they were last season. And we're still only in training camp. So I think that noise needs to calm down a little more on him. Yeah,
I mean, people got to think about. I mean, we did the same thing with Mason. I mean, it's just you don't just give up on somebody who's been in there for a year. You know, I think they're doing the right thing by bringing in competition for him.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I think that lit a fire under him to kick a little harder, but kicking harder doesn't always mean more accurate. So
right, and bringing in competition is going to make you play better too. It's going to make you go back to square one, and that's, I think, Packers, they know what they're doing. It's, you know,
we always question Cody and his choices, and then they turn out to be pretty good most of the time. So
yeah, I've just learned not to question him, because I know he's doing something. If he wasn't doing a good job, he wouldn't have a job.
True.
Do you think Bo Melton will be a top 5 receiver for the Packers?
In what way? Like stat-wise, or just play?
like depth chart. I know we kind of went over depth chart earlier. Do you think he'll be in the top 5 rotation?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm just looking. They got. Oh, I'm just looking at the Packers depth chart. I think if he can come back on how he was performing last year, I think he'll definitely be another hero, shall I say?
Yeah. Well, and he had that game last season. I think it was against the Vikings, if I remember right. I think it was the Vikings, where Jordan threw him the ball and he had it in his hands and it just right through his arms, and he just felt. I mean, when he was like kind of got all over himself, and then I think way later in the game caught another touchdown. And I'm always impressed by any rookie who, especially in a game, you make a bad play, it's blatant, everyone's looking at you. Should have been caught within the 10-yard line, you didn't, and then you just go out there and you kill it more, and you redeem that play. I'm always impressed by any rookie who does that because it's so easy for you to be like, man, I should have got that. And Bo Melton, I mean, he looked so good at the tail end of last year that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the the depth chart right now. You got Dubs, Grant Dubose, Malik Heath, Julian Hicks. He's out of Albany. Bo Melton, Jaden Reed, Dimitri Stanley.
Ooh, forgot about Stanley.
Samari Torre, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks.
How did I forget about Dontavian Wicks?
But
oh my lord, I don't know why he just blanked out of my head this whole time.
You could argue you could put Musgrave out as a receiver too, at different formations.
I mean, if he stay on his feet.
Well, if he falls, hopefully no one's around him to touch him down.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at our tight ends too. We got one tight end is 6'7". Holy crap! He is.
Who's that? Kraft or
Messiah Swinson?
Swinson.
Ben Sims, he's 6'5". Then you got Musgrave, Kraft, and Tyler Davis. And I think Tyler Davis is more for special teams, like kickoff and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you just go through this line, and even you get to the defense, and it's just crazy. Like people that showed promise last year in the preseason are still on the team, and another year under their belt, under the system, I think they'll do really good. Adjusting to everything going on around them.
I agree.
Do you think Brandon Ayuk stays in San Francisco?
I think they want him to stay in San Francisco. Whether or not he does, I don't know. But I can see him staying. I know a lot of teams are kind of reaching out, getting some info on him, but I think he can stay.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if he left. That'd be okay with me.
I agree. That was not the question, sir. I would love him to leave, but I think he's staying.
Yeah, I'm just going over some of the headlines on NFL.com. Do you think the Steelers are going to be a good team in the AFC?
Is that a joke question? Because no.
Depends.
No.
You don't think they're going to be good?
No.
I mean, they have a decent defense, I think, don't they? Minkah Fitzpatrick.
A decent defense does not a good team make. And I've been getting asked, especially about the Dak question, which I know we'll get to. Does a change of scenery help? It can. I don't see how Russ and Justin Fields, I don't know how this is a good change of scenery for them. I mean, it's such a weird scenario that those are the year 2 quarterbacks on the Steelers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see him being a very good team for the next couple of years, unless something drastic happens, and I don't know. I get my foot shoved in my mouth.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields is going to do good in Pittsburgh. I hope he does.
I don't think so, but I would want him to be good just so we can rub it in the Bears' face that it's like, God, you guys messed him up.
How could you guys trade?
So
how could you guys trade the former king of the North? You don't trade your king.
Yeah. What happened to your savior?
Right.
And now they're putting all their trust in this new kid, and he's already saying, Green Bay sucks. He's leading those chants in public, and he's saying he wants to win 6 ring or all the rings like Brady. And I'm just like, dude, you are setting yourself up. You better back that up.
Have you seen him hit a ball off a tee? Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Have you seen Jordan Love at the charity event hitting? I think he was the home run king.
Yeah,
in
sure.
the tournament.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw the comparison videos too. Man, and and honestly, looking at the schedule, I think it makes me feel a little bit better that the first time we play them right after the bye. I think that is perfect.
Give us time to get 100% healthy and just
go there and murder them. Just
beat them. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the one team that I think will do a lot better this year is the Falcons. I think. I think the Vikings. I mean, I thought that Kirk Cousins was going to retire a Viking, and I didn't like playing him at all because he has the arm and the knowledge to be he's a really good quarterback, and I think then they went and paid Justin Jefferson all that money without a proven quarterback. So I just don't know.
Well, and then they drafted that kid. Wasn't that great?
McCarthy?
No, not the Vikings, the Falcons.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
oh my God. I don't know how do you do that? How do you pay Kirk Cousins to come to your team from the Vikings and you're like, you're number one, and then you draft a quarterback? What are you doing, man?
Well, they're copying the Packers.
Sit
behind the starter for 3 years and then 3-4 years, and go out and show what you got. If you haven't learned, see you later.
Yeah, well, and I also think that Kirk Cousins is going to be pretty good in Atlanta. I think it'll be that I see as a good change of scenery for him.
I think so too. I just don't think. The Vikings. I mean, they paid Justin Jefferson all the money, and they got Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. I just don't know how that's going to work out for them. It's like they're going to expect a lot out of Jefferson because of the money they pay him, and then if he doesn't get the results they're looking for, is there going to be a rift in the office and up in the locker room, and it could be a bad combination. Huh?
I'd love that.
Yeah.
But and I'm a Michigan fan, so I knew there were talks like days prior, a couple weeks, maybe even prior to the draft, that the Vikings were going to take JJ, and I really didn't want that to happen because I love JJ McCarthy, but they got him, and now I gotta hate him, so that's fun.
Yeah, you don't gotta hate him; you just gotta cheer against him twice a year.
No, I gotta hate him.
Okay.
I mean, I don't actually hate him, but you're on my rival team, man. I can't like you.
Right. Yeah, they're more of a rival than the Bears are. That's for sure.
Not in my heart, but statistically, yes. in my heart, I will always despise the Chicago Bears. Always and forever.
Do you think Deshaun Watson is on a decline? Or do you just think that he can't stay healthy? What did he even hurt last year?
I didn't pay.
I mean, he's either he's suspended or he's hurt, and you think he's going to be anything decent this year?
I could see him potentially being a sleeper, but I'm not confident. I mean, you did have the injury, and that's obviously concerning. But you have that time to kind of nurse it. you've had time to. I mean, you had all the allegations and the trials and stuff, and that was a distraction. That was a couple years ago, though, and time is time heals. So maybe but I think he has been on a little bit of a decline because he had that injury. But if he can kind of come out, show out this year,
was it a pectoral? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I thought it was something leg related.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh-oh, he's gone.
A lot of question marks around a lot of teams, but Deshaun, I can't pinpoint that guy. He looks good half the time, and then half the time he looks like quarterback number 4. Like get off the field, man.
I mean, he was really good in Houston. Mm-hmm. You know, he was a force to be reckoned with when he had a healthy team around him. You know, but once the allegations hit, then he was gone, and then I think the bad karma just followed him around wherever he went. Do you think the Rams win the NFC West this year over San Francisco?
No, I still think San Fran takes it. I hate saying that, but because the Rams are my mom's team, so I want to say absolutely, but I don't know. San Fran always finds a way to just get in it, and they may not ever win a Super Bowl, but I still think they win their division. I don't see the Rams doing it. Well, I think they can. Will they? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Week 12.
Oh, that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, and it's in Lambeau, and I think that we get sweet revenge.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's going to be nice. Hopefully we can, have a really good game and just blow them out. I want to get back to the games where Lambeau was actually home field advantage, because lately it doesn't seem like it has been. It's just you used to have all the confidence in the world at a home game, and now it's just like I don't know.
Well, especially in the playoffs, when the last couple of years, especially with Rodgers, that we have a home playoff game. It's like, all right, it's snowing, or it's still in Lambeau and it's cold, and we got San Fran and we got Tampa, and those are really warm teams, and then we just die.
You forgot to mention when we had San Fran, we also had a broken thumb.
Yeah. I'm a little hard on Roger for that, because sure, you had not broken thumb, you had a hurt thumb, fine. I've seen you play through a hell of a lot worse than a little screwed up thumb. So
I'm still. You think about some of the times when he had like a hurt. What do you have, like a hurt leg, or not? Maybe not even that. A couple plays a few years ago in the playoffs where you needed like 6 or 7 yards, and you held on to the ball. He had room to run. He could have ran, but he would have gotten caught. And it's like, damn it! If Jordan Love was in there, he would have ran and got the 7 yards for a first down. And that was the end of the game, and that he didn't get the first down, and the game was over. But like I said before, yeah, I like what he did for the Packers. It's just the last few years are kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. We got Jordan Love now, and we just gotta look forward. So,
I'm getting into a bit of a addiction with jerseys now. I got my Reed one. I already had my Rodgers, and now I got my Love, and now I need to get Watson for 9 and Wicks for 13 so I can continue my numerical.
Is that how you're doing it?
I think so. Well, I had Rodgers, and I was like, all right, well, I want Love, and I really need Reed. Reed right now, I think, is my favorite player. And I was like, oh, I got 10, 11, 12. And I'm like, I don't think I can go much farther. Wait a minute. Watson is 9 and Wicks is 13. Oh, no. Now
okay, well then what you do is you skip 14 and get a Bart Starr one at 15.
True.
And then I can't. What was his name? Who number 16? Remember that guy that the receiver that Favre loved? Or not Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Uh,
You know what I'm talking about? He went to the Bills.
I remember that, but
Oh man.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh.
Well, and I also want to double up on numbers. Like, I know that there are like multiple, like I'll want Dobbs and Nelson at some point. I'll double up on that. Yeah, there are going to be a few players that I double up on jerseys. Okay, well, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of want to get jerseys. I'll do a custom one because you can't get them anymore. I'll get another number 10, and I'll get Flynn.
Yeah, man, it wasn't Brett Swain. No, it wasn't Brett Swain. Wasn't his name like Jake? I don't remember. He ended up going to the Bills. Whatever. He was one of Aaron's. Like when he got cut, like Aaron wasn't happy when he got cut. You know, then he's ripped with the front office and everything. Is Dak the answer in Dallas?
No. Next. No. God, I'm so sick of Dak Prescott. And I want him to stay in Dallas because he just can't ever win a playoff game, and that makes me happy. But no. And between Jerry Jones getting in the way, Mike McCarthy screwing the pooch every time you play a playoff game, and that's just Mike McCarthy for you, and Dak making stupid mistakes, fumbling, making picks. I mean, some of the time in that game, it was the receiver's fault. I mean, CD, you got to catch that ball. But no. Luke Beller actually asked the other day on Twitter, is a change of scenery for Dak helpful? And I go, no. I mean, Dak, I think it's just a Dak problem. Yeah. I can kill it in the regular season. I can murder everybody when we're at home, but it's buck up or shut up time, and you can't get the job done. Yeah. And to be honest, I felt that way a little bit about Rodgers after he left. I kind of started reminiscing, like, dude, you were a killer in the regular season, but you can't do anything in the playoffs. Granted, you can get to the NFC Championship game, but that's when you know, when S hits the fan. So
yeah, people want to blame the coach, but the coach can't go through and play for you.
No,
you know, we've seen that we've seen LaFleur's scheme, like what he wants to run compared to what we ran when we had Rodgers, and it's totally different. And what he's doing is nothing but I think it's great, you know. And people want to give LaFleur crap. Oh, he has a crappy playoff record. Or maybe it was just, you know, the person that you're relaying the play into was changing it. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah.
You know, doing the audible at the line and all that fun stuff.
Now you wanted to kind of admire Rodgers for that a little bit because he'd go out there and he'd win you games, and even though you'd be like, all right, well, maybe you should listen to your coach more, man. You're like, hey, you're winning games. But then it happened more and more and more, and then it just got worse. And it's like, you can't be calling every other play, man. You got to do it LaFleur once. He's your coach. I get it. You were kind of that way with McCarthy near the end. You know, I don't like that play. I'm gonna change it. You know, what about that? Do your thing. But when you had a newer coach like LaFleur, it worked for 2 minutes, and then it just fell apart. Yeah. So I'm glad that now he has full control of the offense. He has full control of what he wants to do. And last year, I mean, Jordan was in a little bit of a shell up until the Chargers game. But after that, you know, he was like, all right, I know what you're capable of. I know what you can do. Here's the play. Now go make it.
Right.
And,
yeah.
What do you know? He's a good coach.
So what do you have from top to bottom in the NFC North? Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears.
I'll say Packers won, just because I'm a biased SOB, but Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I'll put the Bears above the Vikings because I think the Vikings are just a little bit too much of a question mark. I think Caleb's coming into the best situation that the Bears have ever had for a rookie, maybe ever. So I think he'll do decent, but I just don't know anything about how that Vikings team's going to look.
The Bears, they're going to find a way to ruin Williams.
Oh, well, of course. But yeah, for this year specifically, I think that Caleb can be competent enough to beat the Vikings out, even if it's by a couple of games, even if it's by one. They're just, they won one more game than the Vikings, so they're up one more. But
sure,
yeah, I don't want to say I'm scared of Caleb Williams because I'm not. But I just have this little inkling in my head from everything I've heard, just that little voice that goes, what if Caleb just wins 10 games, 10, 11 games, which is the nightmare scenario for me. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. Not in his first year. You're throwing him into the league, and potentially he's going to be the starter. It's going to be it's like learn to ride a bike again. You're not going to succeed right away.
And I think that confidence is key. I like his confidence, but confidence and cocky is a very fine line, and he is kind of crossed that as of late.
Yeah.
And all the Bears, we are living rent-free in all their heads 24/7, 365.
Isn't it great?
It is. I love it. I love being like, God, you guys suck. And they're like, well, we'll get you next year. Like, okay. Sure you will, pal.
Yeah, it's...
let's say that we win the first game against them, and then we lose by a field goal or something in the second one. God, it's going to be I don't even know. It's going to be the biggest party they've ever had in Chicago for the past number of years.
8
years.
They're
going to be so happy.
Last 8 years, the last time they had a chance to celebrate was when's the last time the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup? Before that, it was 2016 when the Cubs won the World Series.
Yeah.
And that's if they're a Cubs fan. You got the Cubs and the White Sox fans, so it's if you're a Bears fan and a White Sox fan.
Yeah, you're really in a drought.
I don't know. It's. We don't. We got. Well, I guess we had. I had the Milwaukee Bucks 21, but before that it was 2011 for the Packers. So yeah. It's been a while, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot to win a Super Bowl.
It's always heartbreaking. I always like teasing my dad, and then I kind of have to have a little bit of a self-reflection of, for the longest time, the Chiefs would make it to the playoffs and just choke it. Like, God, you guys are chokers. And then you're going to have to sit back. You're kind of, you're in your room late at night, and you kind of wake up, you're like, oh, we're kind of chokers too.
Yeah.
At least we can make it farther. But, and then in recent years, they've just gone on a tear.
It's kind of to the point to where it's I used to let it bother me for weeks on end if you lost a championship game or something like that. Now it's just whatever,
Yeah.
All it's right, okay, whatever. Here's tomorrow, next,
Of course. And who'd we lose against? The Niners? Of course.
Yeah, anyway. Right. All right.
You know what though? I think it's so funny. The 49ers kind of have a curse. They can go to every Super Bowl they want. But if you're beating us in the playoffs, you ain't winning it.
Oh yeah, I got a buddy that's a huge Niner fan, and he's a Michigan fan too. And we used to have bets, and he used to do photoshops of me wearing Niners gear and all that crap. But it's just fun just to have a really good friend that's a diehard fan of his team that you can't stand, and you just go back and forth, and it just makes it. Dealing with it that much better, if we lose, it's whatever. Then you got something to root for in the Super Bowl. It's yes, go Ravens, go Ravens.
I since we beat the Cowboys, which to me it's going to be an all-time game in my book. It's always going to be in my heart that we just knocked the schnob out of them.
Yeah.
But after that game, I watch a lot of streamers, and two of them are Tim the Tatman's probably one that you might know. He is huge Cowboy fan, and right after we beat that game, his text to speech, his donations were all, Jordan loves your daddy, and I love the suffering of the
Right.
we'll beat him. Oh no. And the other one, he was opening up fan mail, and he's like, "You've got to be kidding!" Pulls up a Jordan Love jersey, and he's like, "I'm gonna." And somebody paid him like $20 on the stream, and he's like, "I will wear this for 5 minutes. After that, I will never wear this again." And so, seeing a Cowboys fan with a Jordan Love jersey on, and he's just like, "Go Pack, go!" Just it warms your heart a little.
Yeah,
you lose against the Niners, but you got something.
Yeah. All righty, we're gonna wrap things up. I got one last question for you.
Sure.
Who is going to be the NFC representative and the AFC representative in the Super Bowl this year?
Like who's going?
Yeah. And who do you think is going to do it?
From the AFC, I don't think the Chiefs are going to three-peat.
Well, they got to keep the guys out of jail first.
Don't tell that to my dad. Yeah, who from the AFC?
The Ravens could be scary.
I like the Ravens. I do. I think that might just be my pick for stupid notifications. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could pick the Ravens. I'm just thinking about it. That might just be my number one, just off my head. Ravens. Ravens Packers. Give it to me. I want the Packers to go. I think we're capable of it. I think as long as we don't screw the pooch, we have every opportunity and every chance of making the Super Bowl. Winning it is a question. There's another question, but I think we can go. If it's not the Packers, if I'm not biased and stroking my own ego, probably Niners again. I mean,
yeah.
Who else but the Niners? If it's not us, who else is going to go?
Right.
Eagles maybe, but they're kind of having a little bit of a slump. I don't think it's a very big slump, but still something they got to get through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they still have to maybe. And speaking of the Chiefs, actually, did you hear they might be leaving Missouri?
Yeah, I thought I heard something about that.
Yeah, they're not having a fun time with the Missouri side of Kansas City. Like they're having struggles talking about upkeep of the stadium and how much you're going to give us to extend staying here, and Kansas City's giving them almost nothing. Like, we'll just go to Kansas. Come on to my side. That's been my biggest gripe growing up as my dad being a Chiefs fan. I'm like, why are you a Chiefs fan? It's like, because they're Kansas City. It's like, Missouri. Why does that matter? Because they're not from here.
Yeah.
The Packers aren't from here. I'm like, yeah, well, I did that because I don't want to be a fan with you. So
you always want to have that kind-spirited rivalry with your dad.
Yeah, it's fun. He doesn't like talking about the whole jail situation, but yeah, he's like, "What are we doing? Why are our guys so stupid?"
Yeah, and
our guys are doing pretty good. Almost everything coming out of OTA's training camp is pretty positive. He's like, "Guys staying out of prison."
Yeah.
Oh.
Nothing to do in Green Bay.
Must be not. Oh yeah, nothing to do.
But yeah, well, we're gonna wrap it up here, Cody. Thanks again for being on. Appreciate it. We'll have to plan when it gets closer to training camp starting, and I'll get you some dates. They're out there floating around on Twitter somewhere. I'll have to get them updated and message you and let you know and get something set up. love having you on. And you have anything to say? Where can people find you at?
You can find me on YouTube at Code Packers page. Not that I've uploaded anything recently, but you can if you want. Subscribe there, or you can find me at official CIS on Twitter or X. That's where you can find me. So,
Perfect. Sounds good, man. Take care. What's your favorite kind of cheese? I know I asked you, but I forgot to ask. I asked at every podcast, even though I've already asked. I'm going to ask you again.
Pepper Jack.
Pepper Jack. That's right.
And I like spice.
Yes, I like ghost peppers. So yeah, I remember that. All right. Well, thank you, and go Pack go. Thanks again, Cody.
Go Pack go.